Do, 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 do. Nothing true is popular, and nothing is popular is true. One of the mottos that I've lived by. It's my motto that I came up with. Yeah. One of my other mottos, and it's always true, is that I can always tell what somebody knows by the stuff they recommend you read. This is about heroes and fools of science, but also, too, of literature. And I'm talking, of course, about field theory and metaphysics, genuine philosophy. Not that stuff that people in Germany and France and Americans call philosophy, stuff written by Kant, Hume, Schopenhauer, Nietzsche, and a whole bunch of other navel-gazing Western existentialist materialists, because that's not philosophia, the love or quest for wisdom at all. It's called philosophy, but it's not philosophy at all. It is philosophy in name only. Yeah? P-I-N-O. This is a video on heroes and fools of literature. I'm going to talk about a few things. One of the great earmarks, and this is true about 98% of the time, is that if you have good reading skills, if you can read it quickly, yeah, then it's nothing intelligent, nor is the author intelligent. Yeah? And actually by intelligent I mean wise. You can't read anything genuinely good. Because it used to be, there's an issue now that any doofus with enough money or enough sway, like, oh, I got 5 million viewers on the Tube or some other place, I'm going to put out a book and a bunch of people are going to download it. And the publisher doesn't care because they only care about money. Of course, who buys printed books anymore, right? People generally don't buy printed books. There's just too much trash out there, and people don't have the skills to differentiate out the trash from treasure. But you actually cannot take a good book and read it quickly. It's impossible. You couldn't read, for example, as the English translation, this is the Didaskalikos of Albinus. Can't be done quickly. You can't do it. Or read Syrianus or Plotinus in any translation. And that's assuming the translation is any good, which none of them are except for Thomas Taylor's. And even that is incomplete, and he was the best Greek translator who ever lived. It can't be done. You can't read Nikola Tesla's favorite book, Theoria Philosophiae Naturalis, Theory of Natural Philosophy by Rod Robuskovich. I challenge people to go onto archive.org and download that book and attempt to read it. It can't be done. Anybody that said that they could, I think there's like 2 people. And they were lying to me. It's like, sure, I read some of that book. You know, what did you read? Like half a page? No, I read like a chapter. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You can't do it. I dare you to try it. You know, so that can't be possible. Half the book is in Latin, half the book is in English. It just can't be done. This is, and the word conspiracy is completely incorrect. However, superficially, with enough insight and wisdom, it almost looks like that. Like the world is collectively, and it is not. I'm not saying it is a conspiracy whatsoever. It is not. Stupidity is, of course, its own conspiracy. You know, just kind of like you would never find like dumb, much less unwise people at a meeting of ancient Greek philosophical translators. You just wouldn't. You'd find a lot of intelligent people. You might find some unwise people, but certainly no unintelligent ones. You wouldn't find your typical Walmart shopper at a meeting of Neoplatonists, for example, to discuss monastic metaphysics of Plotinus or Erugena. I call it Erugena. It's just not going to happen. And I think a lot of people that I've talked about, and I got a couple examples here. I have the books of these people. By the way, I was contacted last night by a person looking for an insanely rare book, Pris Sankara Advaita Vedanta. I can't find it anywhere. This book is impossible. It doesn't matter how much money I try to spend, I can't get it. There's no copy of it anywhere. And I was like, I know I have that book, and I went in my, I have a library basically in my house. It's like, here's the book. You want it? It's like, I knew I had the book. You can't find it anywhere online at any price. It's kind of weird how my mind works like that. I can think of endless hundreds of thousands of books, but I can't think of the name of my cousin, for example, who's married to my mother's sister. It's like, what's that guy's name again? I can't remember it. This is the guy that everybody thinks is a genius. I'd like to point this out. But it almost is not conspiratorial, but it almost is that the things that you and I knew that this was nonsense, but other people just accepted it as fact, the people that we were told were geniuses that are not geniuses at all, like Richard Feynman, Albert Einstein, this guy. Growing up, everybody's like talking about this guy. Oh, he's so smart. I've got most of his books. I don't know if people think I don't read the books of these people that I have no respect for, but I have their books. I've underlined them. Stephen Hawking, this guy. You know, of course, he's gone now. But, oh, he's so smart. Like, really? It is the case of every author who ever lived. Even though everybody on earth like will have a bad day or a bad week or maybe a bad lecture or say something in an interview, it's just like, man, that's really dumb. It's like, well, the person might be tired. But they always put the best of what they are, the sharpest bits of their mind, in their books. And if their books are absolute trash, like, this is the best this person has to offer, and even it is trash. It's like, well, here's a guy that everybody kept looking up to as you know, the expert on cosmic mechanics, and if you look up field in the back, yeah, it gives you one reference, and it's right here, and it's on page 241. You look at right there. I know you can't see it. Let me read it to you. This is the guy that everybody told me and you growing up was a genius. Field, something that exists throughout space and time. Space has no properties. Nikola Tesla said that endlessly. There is nothing of space, since it has no properties, nor there a field. Space, no. Space, by the way, is the after effect of a divergent magnetic field. Time is a measure of magnitudes. Field, something. He literally says the most important thing in the entire universe, which is a field. The first word describes, from his book, you know, this supposed genius, something. It's like, what's a so-and-so? I've heard about him. I think it's something that exists, you know. Most important thing in the universe, you're going to call it a something. It's got one sentence to describe the most important thing. I'm pretty sure this book is about the universe. Yes, it is. Yeah, it's about the guy that supposedly is a genius on the universe. Something that occurs throughout space and time, as opposed to a particle that exists at only one point at a time. Yeah. Something. So, the genius that everybody had been telling me for all these years, there are all sorts of PBS specials and Nova, and they show this guy, you know, oh my goodness, you know, what a genius. What a genius he is. Yeah, his explanation for field, and it's in the glossary here, is something. Something that exists throughout. Something! Well, that's extremely descriptive. That's very, very helpful. Wave-particle duality. Here's the definition of a wave. The concept in quantum mechanics that there is no distance between waves. Waves of what? There's no such thing as waves. Waves are not things, rather what things do. And particles. Particles may sometimes behave like waves, and waves sometimes behave like particles. Yeah, well, that's a pile of garbage. Here's the other genius that everybody keeps looking up to, and of course if you look at field back here, you actually won't find anything, but if you look up gravitation, the guy that everybody looks up to is a genius. And the best video of his, and there's thousands of copies of it on the internet and on YouTube, you just look up Feynman explains magnetism. It's like a 6-minute long video. Everybody should watch it. The guy innocently asks him, what is magnetism? He wiggles and squirms like a frog in a hot plate, and he talks about an old woman slipping on the ice, and he basically says, you're not smart enough for me to tell you because you're not smart enough to understand the explanation. Well, isn't that genius? That's a fallacy, by the way. Anyway, here's the guy that's supposedly a genius on the universe and fields, and of course this is the priest of the cult of quantum, by the way. Because the gravitational forces, which I could read on and on. Anyway, this guy goes on for, you know, several pages talking about gravity being a force, and gravity's not a force at all. Gravity is the opposite of a force. So there's that genius. These are the people, and this is a small list, okay? The people that you and I were told were geniuses You know, the quintessence of brilliance, Einstein. Yeah? Richard Feynman. What's his name? Mr. Hawking over there. Heroes. These people are neither geniuses nor are they heroes of anything. By the way, there are 4 books. I think there's 5. One of them is like 2,000 some pages long, talking about Einstein. Everything that you think Einstein was famous for, brilliant for, E equals mc squared. Humorously, E equals mc squared stands for Einstein, E, equals M, married, C, cousin, squared twice. Einstein married his cousin twice. That's what E equals mc squared. By the way, that formula came from Henri Poincaré. 95% of everything, and this is not an exaggeration, it's actually over 95%, 95% of everything that you find love of Einstein, brilliant, was stolen from Henri Poincaré. Even Einstein himself said the secret is hiding your sources. Einstein's source was Henri Poincaré, who he stole much of his stuff from. Did not come from Einstein. Oh, he's so brilliant. Yet all of this garbage in media, they've lauded hypocrites and liars and the unintelligent, and they've completely swept under the rug the brilliant people. Henri Poincaré, Nikola Tesla, Charles Proteus Steinmetz, Oliver Heaviside, Eric Dollard, Gustave Le Bon. Look up who Gustave. A lot of these works, by the way, are available for free download on archive.org and pdfdrive.com. Oleg Djefimenko. I should have brought some of his books out here. 2 PhDs. He's actually a genuine genius. He's completely against relativity. However, he does it in a professional manner because he had to. He couldn't just come out and voraciously wag his finger at the idea of relativity and quantum. But he does attack it endlessly in his book. A true genius. You can't read his stuff quickly. And I'm not talking about the formulas, which nobody can read quickly. Eric Dollard. I don't like Eric Dollard at all. I hung out with him at a few days at the Science and Energy Conference, but I still recommend his books. He's not somebody I would ever want to meet again. But I still recommend, and people buy his books. They're brilliant works. What somebody is, as far as their personality, has nothing to do with the works that they actually produce. It's not a conspiracy at all, but everything that I was told and you were told, these people that are heroes and geniuses are, you know, mentally, intellectually deflated people of no intellectual worth at all, whether it be metaphysics, philosophy, field theory. You know, the people like Einstein, Hawking, Feynman. If you go, and I remember this back in high school specifically, we were reading about history, we did history of science, blah, blah, blah. It was all garbage anyway. There was like 2 pages dedicated to Einstein, and there was like less than a half a paragraph dedicated to Nikola Tesla. Einstein helped develop the nuke. Yeah. Have you ever read, here's a great book, you want to know who Einstein really is. This is only one travel diary among many. It's published and translated from the Deutsch, from the German, into English. There's only one travel diary. See, travel diaries in the Near East or Far East, just type in travel diaries of Einstein on Amazon.com. Prestigious publication, Princeton University Press. I can't even begin to say on social media the stuff that he said in this travel diary. Heinous. Heinous beyond the pale. Really, really, really heinous. If they actually put that stuff in the history books, like, you know, here's an excerpt, quote, a dozen quotes from Einstein's travel diaries. You know, the stuff is absolutely off the hook heinous. You could guess what they are. He's visiting various cultures and peoples around the world. That's Einstein. It's not like some sort of half-baked publication. It's Princeton University Press, direct translation from the German into the English. Does anybody out there know that about Einstein? 100 people, maybe? Somewhere around there. Einstein's a genius. Oh, have you ever read his travel diary? No, I think you should go. Did you know that all the stuff that you keep talking about Einstein was stolen from Henri Poincaré? No, you can't be right. It's published by Henri Poincaré. That was stolen by Einstein from Henri Poincaré. People don't know what a good book is. They've been told to make heroes out of fools. I can always tell you what somebody knows by the books and the stuff they recommend you read. Be saying, hey, you need to be down. There's a lot of free works, by the way, by these people. Henri Poincaré, Nikola Tesla, Charles Proteus Steinmetz, Oliver Heaviside, Gustave Le Bon. Really, really, really good stuff. Oleg Fomenko, Eric Dollard. Here's one of Metaphysics. It's a great book. I've probably had thousands of people. You can get this book online, too, by the way. I won't say where. By Algis Udovinus. This is Philosophy is a Rite of Rebirth by Algis Udovinus. Incredible book. This is genuine. Have you ever heard of this guy? No, the only person I heard that from is you. Nothing good out there is popular. Nothing true is popular. Nothing popular is true. I mean, it really is almost an absolute. By the way, this is another book by him. This is a very small one, Orpheus and the Roots of Platonism by Algis Udovinus. An introduction to the monistic metaphysics of Plato, Plotinus, is the Didaskalikos, or the Platonic doctrines. This is a very small, you can get this online also. You're welcome, thanks to me, of Albitus. This is groupthink psychosis. Nikola Tesla, the only time Nikola Tesla foams at the mouth, not literally, isn't talking about Albert Einstein. He calls him a fuzzy-haired crackpot, a fool. The idea of quantum and relativity is complete, absurd, ludicrous. Here's a direct quote from Richard Feynman. Anybody who thinks they understand quantum is lying or something like that. It's just complete, absolute rubbish. Feynman was really popular because he taught, and the college kids thought he was a supreme hipster. He wore really fashionable clothing. And there's even videos on the tube, while he was still alive and teaching. He'd show up in the lecture hall, sitting up on the stage, and the kids, the college kids, they were swooning over him and his supposed big brain. He'd light up a cigarette. Yeah, and he'd have a snifter of brandy. He used videos of this. And they thought he was the coolest cat in the world. He had a lot of charisma. Hey, man, what's up? We're going to talk about physics and quantum today. That's a true story. There are many video examples of this. He was a cat with a lot of charisma. I've got his books, most of his articles, his collected lectures. I've been through this stuff. I don't know if people think I just, have some sort of disdain. I mean, I've read what these people say. Any author will admit that the distillation of their intelligence, or lack thereof, is within their books. I'm an author of 9 books. There's not an author out there that won't say, well, the best of my work, I worked really hard on my book and I stuck the best thoughts that I had. And people do that when they write. I mean, that's the case 99 times out of 100. It's like, that's the best that they got, and it's garbage. Yet these are the people that I and you were told were geniuses. Hawking, Feynman, Einstein. They're not. Why aren't you reading Henri Poincaré? Well, you've never heard of him before. Algis Udovinus, never heard of him. Henri Poincaré, Oleg Fomenko, Nikola Tesla, Charles Proteus Steinmetz, Eric Dollard. Einstein helped develop the nuke and bring the world into misery. Tesla was dedicated to, he died penniless. He was dedicated to giving the world free energy, helping the world. 2 totally different people. One guy helped develop the nuke and cause enormous amounts of misery and death in the world. That would be Einstein. The other guy tried to give the world free energy, all sorts of great stuff. Endless inventions. Not Einstein, Tesla. Died penniless. He cared about giving stuff away to the world. These are 2 people, regardless of what they wrote and what they invented, who are diametrically opposed. One guy stole everything from Henri Poincaré, is heralded as a super genius who was not. Helped bring about great misery in the world, developing the nuke and other things. Not an inventor. Patent clerk. Stealer of information. Why were we holding these people up as heroes? These people are not heroes. They're not geniuses. Their works are no good. Don't you find it interesting that the only time, because Tesla was not jealous of Einstein, it was the other way around, if anything. The only time Nikola Tesla during his entire life, or he comes close to foaming at the mouth about anything, is against relativity and Einstein. Here's a quote. It's called Fragments of Olympian Gossip. This is written by Nikola Tesla. He liked to do poetry, a little bit anyway. He read this at a dinner party. This is only a part of it. Tesla wrote this. Too bad, Sir Isaac, meaning Isaac Newton. They dimmed your renown and turned your great science upside down. Now a long-haired crank. In modern English, that would be fuzzy-haired crackpot. Now a long-haired crank, Einstein by name, puts on your high teachings all the blame. He said matter and force are transmutable, meaning that you can transmute matter to force and force back into matter. And wrong are the laws you thought immutable. It goes on. He said, he says, I'm too sound of a mind to fall for such nonsense. The rest of the poem goes, you need to unlearn what you've learned. You grew up with the idea that Einstein, Feynman, Hawking, some of these, who's that other guy? There's a couple of them on PBS. The Elegant Universe guy, the guy that wrote that. I've got that book too. P.U. And that other guy, the non-scientist who everybody looks up to is like the embodiments of science. Niels deGrasse. These are not the people you should be reading. These people will not sharpen your mind, they will dull your mind. You know, if you take the same stone, like say this is a knife here, which is kind of sharp, and this is the sharpening stone. You could sharpen a stone if you do it like this. Yeah? Yeah, sharpening stone here. You could take the same knife and do it like this and use the same sharpening stone, go like that. And it will dull the knife. Yeah? You're supposed to be doing this. You're not supposed to be doing that. When we're reading these people, that's exactly what you're doing. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a lovely day. And my God, it is really humid out. And the humidity is horrible. I'm going to edit that out of this video. If you like these videos, you want to contact me, my information is in the description below. Thanks so much for watching. Goodbye.